Chande yin somba la ngomba la de do. Jebe ne jo tamba ne ngu ye zi runga be tudo je juba pala. Ne so ka rin so la cha de do. Samba ra sa sha da ra samba ra ka samba ra sha da ra. Samaraya be kade para sangade pute so papa kaya de so ye che so wa de ye wa jo jara do ye wa jo je ta ge ba de be chore she de gore ye so wa dong da ye je wa da me de ne be jen da de wa Tenpa zhe pe song so ye pe da xin den chang den de ren de le shou. Ye de gu jie ye zhou de jie de zui jie de ba la jie zong. De ba de ne pe ba de ba ye gu ba jie pe de ba jie jie. Le jie nie pe da pe de san de xin duo ye ga de jie shi ge. 你这工作你过来白了，你这白把钱我来请你。那所以我去就我有多几百句话真话，是接受流当听把也看那这几些真话。你把电波年年年别做茶间桃花南站波浪荡，结束大大罗巴拉结巴拉大。阿达天巴拉钦给，结拜明阿多开关节我一天没落西边走。你们人呢？他的白的瓦拉，天天讲波罗的瓦钦给。南大三巴地张巴也，真大一也巴也。天白早瓦所做大巴拉，这个巴也不结巴钦给。 让你写字罗罗哇，吉祥罗，关注罗哇，回家天道。昨天罗哇，这边回去我家着生着中华新年。生到了吉祥，随这边当做红花美大，常驻美中。你们多年结识多巴拉，尊巴这个罗巴新年罗，我们越来越往西界这样的得到最深什么？新年劳动送多这个老板越多越老越往西界。 听过南疆的多就把那天花滚跌说出很多这。 天上几位中国当把的的了，民众中国今日，以前我做那年准备也南大当的东巴说，这马面的年晚年，做当对的说话今日，天天觉得宁波的年节那个嘛几十多年尊巴，这些年就叫来没有。 当别说心做不来心个，得到冷山准备新年当最是中的做那兄弟，其他那些把多这个，年外小外新节了，有我很多样的那么别拉龙居见啥的那些，多些讲解我把牛头。 说说，我也啥也不来也，就没钱，没大毛。 Tawai
The song possessing the four mindfulnesses. Instructions on the view of the middle way, causing a rain of cities to fall. By the Great Seventh, I've here the translation by Lama Je Rinpoche, and I think, is this the same translation that we all have the same translation? Okay. So, instructions on the view of the middle way, possessing the 4 mindfulnesses. The lineage is from Manjushri as Je Rinpoche, or Je Rinpoche's visions. So from Manjushri to Je Rinpoche and so forth, right? And then the great 7th then composed this gur. I think something like songs of experience, right? Songs of realization. Something like the Tohas, right? Similar to the Tohas of the Mahasiddhas, right? His Holiness gave a commentary on the great 7th song of spiritual experience, I think at Gyelchog, the lower tantric monastery in South India. So these 4 mindfulnesses, something like remembering. So remembering a guru, remembering compassion, remembering the deity, and remembering the view, right? So these are the 4 mindfulnesses. So it is clear that in this step, then combining instructions on the middle way, together with remembering the guru, the compassion, and the deity. Ume tati tempa shidengi kuryang ngujub chambe shu sohos. Tabshi sonju jurmingi tending na kyabgyu ngo tinchingi lama shu. Angdo zobe sangi shik tenanda. Kyondo pane tanangi sewa top. Rangsem gyayendo majo mekyugi ngangdo sho. Tempa jemendo shene mekyugi ngangdo songs. On the seat of unchangeable, unified method and wisdom sits the kind guru, essence of all refuges, a Buddha complete in abandonment and realization is there, abandoning thoughts of false, make requests to the Guru in pure appearance, not letting your mind stray, place it in a state of devotion and respect. With unforgetting mindfulness, hold your mind in a state of devotion and respect. And His Holiness explains is the seed of unchangeable, unified method and wisdom, as it is frequently mentioned in the Tantras of these three cushions, right? The lotus cushion, and then the moon and the sun cushion, the three seeds, cushions, then symbolizing, representing the three principal aspects: Nyenjung, Changsem, Yangtabe Dawa, renunciation, bodhicitta, and the middle view, right? And here His Holiness mentions that this is referring to the inseparable a great bliss of inseparable method wisdom at the heart sits the kind Guru, essence of all refuges. So, remembering the Guru, His Holiness then adds that likewise, as it is mentioned in the Lamrim, the outlines within relying on the Guru, those outlines, His Holiness adds to meditate according to those outlines. How to develop devotion and how to develop respect. Right? And then by going through the outlines as mentioned in the Lamrim, then holding the mind in a state of devotion and respect. And here, His Holiness adds that the Guru, the Lama, in Tibet, His Holiness mentions in Tibet, at some point during a certain period, the value of a Lama was determined by how many horses there were in the entourage. That was how it was determined. If the Lama had the more horses there were in the entourage, then this must be a Lama of high realization. And the less the horses, a Lama of lower value, right? This is very sad. His Holiness adds, for example, I think His Holiness mentions Je Rinpoche, Bedu. Yeah, His Holiness then says, a great Lama, almost like inconceivable Lama, right? Especially, one could say, like the second Shantideva, right? The second Shantideva. And his commentary on the Bodhisattva's way of life, it's really something when we have the opportunity to study, to read, I think it's really special. It's really special. So His Holiness says it very clear, the second Shantideva, and he had only like something like a small bag, and he would just walk around, no horses, but still a Lama of immeasurable value. So His Holiness here in the commentary then adds that a Lama has the criteria as set by Je Tsongkhapa, Je Rinpoche. His Holiness adds, without subduing one's mind, there is no way to subdue others. Therefore, the Lama must have the criteria as set forth in the Vinaya, in the Vinaya Sutra. Then there are some criteria of the Lama, and also in the Sutra Alamkara, criteria of the Lama. These qualities, whoever has these qualities, then is qualified, then is a candidate to be one's Lama, to be one's Guru, right? So His Holiness stresses this point, really emphasizes this point, really emphasizes this point. Sometimes in our world, when we are not so familiar with the way of doing things, or when we are not so familiar with protocol, then we feel simply because we learn from something, oh, this person is my guru, right? It is not like that, right? I saw one video, one person, this man, Indian man, and he says, there are so many different words for that. And he gives each explanation. It's a very beautiful explanation. It's a very beautiful explanation. This maybe I will try to find, and maybe I can play over the mic. There are so many different terms, and each term, then it's like there are different nuances, right? Different nuances. Just because we get some information from someone, that doesn't mean they're the guru, right? That doesn't mean they're the guru. So this is why His Holiness really stresses this part of the so-called guru devotion, guru devotion, guru devotion. Yes, guru devotion is important, but this word guru, what does that mean, right? Before going through guru devotion, then it is important to know what guru is. And maybe a good way of approaching is what it is not, to knowing what the guru isn't. The guru isn't someone who just gives some information. The guru isn't someone who simply has some knowledge, right? The guru isn't someone who doesn't seem to exhibit the qualities of compassion. The guru isn't the one who doesn't seem to exhibit wisdom, the middle view, right? So this is, I think, a very important part to make a distinction between teacher and guru. Guru shouldn't be like the Hindi term or the Sanskrit term of this English word teacher. There, it has a deeper meaning than just teacher. Classical way of explaining in Tibetan with our teachers is something like guru means something like jiwa, 是吧? Guru给对的jiwa送过是吧? So something like heavy, and heavy of what? Heavy of realizations, right? This is how it is explained. A realized one. Oh, this one, yes. Okay. Let's hope this works. Okay.
It's called an adhyapak, the one who combines in.
Oh. Okay.
My Hindi teacher shared this with me, and it completely blew my mind. That the word teacher doesn't just translate to the word guru. In fact, in Sanskrit language, there are specific words denoting the qualities of a teacher. The one who provides you information is called an adhyapak. The one who combines information and knowledge is called an upadhyay. The one who has in-depth knowledge of a particular subject is called a pandit. The one who trains you or imparts you specific skills is called an acharya. The one who has a visionary view on a subject is called a drishta. And the one who truly awakens wisdom within you and takes you from darkness to light is called a guru. Which kind of means we all are, in one form or another, a teacher of some sorts. And it also allows us to think what kind of teacher we've had.
I think he makes it very clear. Thank you. When I saw this video, then it was very helpful. It was very helpful. Really clears I think so many misconceptions, especially for us who are not so familiar with guru, right? Sanskrit is such a rich culture, right? Sanskrit. All those different specific terms, really, that shows you the richness of the culture, of Indian culture, and then of Sanskrit, Sanskrit. His Holiness adds that with Gyelchog, the original destroyer. Nos. Kalyana Mitra. So by relying on a spiritual guide, then to first hear the graded path, then to train one's mind then to train one's mind, and then the realizations manifest. In this order, because it is done in this order, therefore the spiritual guide is important. And specifically, in Tantra, then devotion and respect to the Guru is important. So this is the first, remembering the Guru. Kora tame 동행기 쯧러나 대외 폼베 리주기 심전캠 팅기 캠베 파만남 대난다 차당반의 진진의 닝지공 란심 개연도 마주 닝지 영향도 쇼 전부 제면도 신의 닝지 영향도 송스. In the prison of limitless samsara's suffering, the 6 types of sentient beings bereft of happiness wander. Fathers and mothers who have nurtured me with kindness are all there. Abandoning attachment and hatred, meditate on cherishing others and compassion. Now letting your mind stray, place it in a state of compassion with unforgetting mindfulness. Hold your mind in a state of compassion. Here, His Holiness adds a verse on bodhicitta from the 3 principal aspects of the path. Shuda chu shi gyungi kir. Do you have, Karuna, do you have the 3 principal aspects of the path? Would you have three principal aspects of the path, the verses on bodhicitta? So anyhow, in that verse, His Holiness, as you know, says it is very helpful to switch that verse and then to think about to meditate on one's sufferings, right? Instead of all other sentient beings, then to take those verses and then just switch it to one's state in order to generate renunciation, right? So His Holiness encourages us to do that whenever His Holiness gives teachings on the 3 principal aspects. 이제도에 Yes. Swept away by the current of the 4 powerful rivers, tied by the tight bonds of karma, so hard to undo, caught in the iron net of self-grasping, completely enveloped by the total darkness of ignorance, endlessly reborn in cyclic existence, ceaselessly tormented by the 3 sufferings. So this is the same, and then thinking that all mothers are in such a condition generate the supreme mind of enlightenment. So these two last lines, His Holiness changes, thinking that I am in such a condition generate the mind of renunciation, right? So His Holiness, this is just for renunciation. His Holiness always says, this is very helpful, you know. And once doing that, then again, thinking that all mothers are in such a condition, the supreme mind of enlightenment. What was the first line? In the four currents, swept away by the four powerful. So the four powerful rivers are, I think, Gyatso, the suffering of being born, of aging, sickness, and dying, I think, right? These are the currents of the four powerful rivers. So this, we have to really think, yeah? Gyatso. This is something like the beauty of the Tibetan language. What are the four powerful rivers? Gyatso. Right? Just 4 syllables. Now try that in English. And I don't know Sanskrit, but I'm sure Sanskrit, I have the feeling is also like this, that you can just put everything in 1 syllable. But I don't know Sanskrit. His Holiness adds the 3 types of sufferings, and then specifically the all-pervasive suffering, yeah? So this state of influenced by karma and klesha, the state of being influenced by klesha and karma, right? This is suffering. This is suffering. I think one of my teachers mentioned that in Tibet, his tutor would sometimes recite, you know, some of these verses, and then at some point he would just like repeat the same line again and again and again, you know. I think this is very helpful because in a way, then this is like meditation. You know, you're thinking about it, you're thinking and not sort of trying to finish everything in a hurry, you know, but taking time and really absorbing, you know, absorbing the meaning, to absorb the meaning of those lines, of each of those lines. And even within that, each parts, to say that word just slowly and repeat and repeat. Words, our speech, they can, even though they are very much might acts as the impetus for our speech, but sometimes, you know, if the speech can also affect our mind, right? Our speech, it can also affect our mind. So this way, I think, is very effective. It's very effective. It's a bit, I mean, that's why we do mantras anyhow, right? That is why we do mantras. Vajra repetition. What was it? Verbal and mental repetition. Was that the term in the abbreviated Vajrayogini sadhana? Verbal and mental repetition, right? Verbal and mental repetition. So not only for like mantras, but also for our daily prayers, you know, we can also do the same, you know, each line, just say that a few times. That helps us digest, you know, to digest the meaning of that line, right? To get our mind in line with the verses, to align ourselves, to integrate the meaning to our minds. This is very helpful. Abandoning attachment and hatred. Abandoning attachment and hatred, I think this is meditation on equanimity, right? Abandoning attachment and hatred, this is equanimity. Immeasurable equanimity. Meditate on cherishing others. This is immeasurable love. And then meditate on compassion. Immeasurable compassion. The four immeasurables is very important. That's a very important practice. It gives strength to bodhicitta, you know, the four immeasurables. The four immeasurables, it strengthens our bodhicitta, right? The four Brahma Viharas, the four immeasurables. And there are different order of the four immeasurables. And depending on the contexts like that, then these order are sometimes different. But they're all equal in integrating all four. right? They're all same in that way. And all for the purpose of strengthening our bodhicitta, right? The four immeasurables, the four immeasurables. Now, and the Modrish. Abandoning attachment and hatred. Wasn't it one of the Bodhisattva vows to not abandon not even a single sentient being, right? So this is very important, to abandon attachment and hatred, to abandon being biased, being partial, right? When we think of these things, when we really think of each of these practices, let us not talk about highest yoga tantric practice. Let us not talk about like the highest practices, but like this, abandoning attachment and hatred to sentient beings. It is not the easiest thing to do, right? Really. If you are to apply this, then are we really doing it as it is taught, as the Buddha taught? Are we really doing this, right? Are we really practicing the compassion? We have to really ask this question ourselves. And then depending on the answers, then how to progress, right? Depending on the answer, then how do we improve that further? How do we get to this practice? To abandon attachment and hatred to certain categories, we categorize sentient beings. We have to overcome this categorization, right? We have to stop with this labeling. We have to, or else we will not be able to fix this attachment and hatred issues. Our attachment issues, our aversion and frustration issues, we will not be able to deal with them. We will not be able to face them, We won't. If we always turn a blind eye to this section of the practice, to this part of the practice, which is a very important part, right? So our teachers, including His Holiness, says, practicing the good heart, practicing compassion, and not letting go of this strong sense of I, right? This is why emptiness is so helpful in developing compassion, right? This sense of I, me, my, this is really what blocks compassion, right? This is what fuels attachment and aversion, our attachments, our aversion issues. It is our fabricated sense of I, of me. So that is emptiness's role, right? That is why we bring in emptiness. Not simply because that's how things exist, but emptiness can really benefit us. Yeah. It can really free our compassion. Yeah. Emptiness. We can really free us, from this bondage of the three mind poisons. Emptiness frees us, from this bondage of the three mind poisons. The three mind poisons, right? So when we find some issues with our compassion, when we find it a little limited, our compassion a little limited, it is always good to think of oneself as being empty, right? Sort of letting go of this sense of I, just letting go of this me thing, right? Just dissolving that into emptiness, dissolving the I into emptiness. So then compassion becomes balanced, right? It is not biased. And in the context of the four mindfulnesses, if we don't want to incorporate emptiness now, then of course, as it is mentioned in the Lamrim, there are other ways of developing compassion. And that first by developing equanimity, impartiality, right? And for that, then there are steps taught in the Lamrim, as you all know, how to develop a sense of impartiality towards all beings, right? Remaining impartial, unbiased. Thinking of those points and then simply generating impartiality. And then hold your mind in a state of compassion. Hold the mind in a state of compassion. Okay, so now I will stop and maybe Carlos.
In our culture, often religion has a method of control that incorporates blame, shame, and guilt, which seems to really hold that concept of I and my and me. And then in American psychology, there's also the concept that one can only love themselves at a level at which, or love others at the level at which they love themselves. And if that were true, then they could also not release that attachment and hatred. And I can see where, in what you're saying, emptiness would be the answer to letting go of that self-grasping. But in the concept of having to unlearn these things, what would be the best way to advise someone who is not able to have that self-love in a level of without self-grasping?
So if someone approaches me and they have this, they really blame themselves, they really don't appreciate themselves, right? Yeah, they don't love, there is no self-love, right? Then how to change that? Sometimes I think when we are beginning, it is good to have ego. Yeah, it is good to have something like ego, attachment, or even, I could say, aversion or anger, they can be positive. They can be helpful, you know. I think, as we were talking before, one word, different meaning, right? So taking that into account for someone who is going through these issues, right, of really much self-blame, self-loathing, extreme low self-esteem, like that, then for someone in that situation, of course, emptiness is not the answer, right? So we have to find other methods. So here, I think self-cherishing would be good, right? Self-cherishing isn't absolutely negative. It is not. I think His Holiness frequently mentions that if you really want to cherish oneself, then practice bodhicitta, no? Right? I mean, that is like true self-cherishing, right? If you really want to cherish yourself, then do that by cherishing others. Yeah, right? So self-cherishing shouldn't be considered negative in absolute terms. We have to work with the values which the other person already have. We have to work with our problems with the tools that we already have, right? So for such a person, it is important to get their self-cherishing, to increasing their self-cherishing and some kind of pride, because they're at such a low level that even if the self-cherishing and the pride were to increase, I don't think it will be harmful. Yeah. So self-cherishing, attachment, anger, in the right dosage, I think is useful and helpful, you know. We need to have sometimes some attachment. We need, and also some anger as well, like positive anger, you know. We shouldn't be so much like, oh, I shouldn't be angry all the time. Then this is not good. Then, you know, what is the word? Passive aggressive? It's not good. It's not good. Then if we really try to suppress our angers and really not try to show it, then passive aggressive, and then that starts to become too strong, right? Then what is the use? It's sometimes to let go, to sort of vent out our whatever it is inside, to let it come to like a boiling point. And of course, we all have common sense. So we know where to draw the line, right? We all have common sense. So that is, I think, okay. And especially for someone in such circumstances as we are talking about, then I think it's very important that self-cherishing needs to be increased, that they have to cherish themselves and see the good in them, see the good within themselves, because they have many positive qualities. It is simply a matter of recognizing and then I think first to accept and recognize that they have these qualities, I think is the number one thing to do, you know, in order to get up from that place, you know, in order to get off from that place. So definitely, we have to find a way to explain to them that they are not to be hold to blame. Yeah, I think it's very important. It's really important. Please follow up.
I find with some of these people that they often are able to do that for others very well. And sometimes pointing out that they also deserve that. That mirroring can help them.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, so these people who have like low sense of self-ism, they are very good at
loving others.
Loving others. Yes. But if they are loving others, then I think they would have some sense of care, kindness to themselves, wouldn't they?
I think sometimes from the upbringing or the beliefs that they've been forced into, that it seems as though they're not allowed.
And it is again so important that we also don't make the same mistake of telling people self-cherishing is bad, that self-cherishing not good at all. Don't cherish yourself, only cherish others, only cherish others. Also, we shouldn't make that mistake too, right? So it's really, the thing is to keep everything in balance, right? We need the healthy self-cherishing. We need that. I was thinking, even though some belief system might say otherwise, they might be in a way like forcing themselves to not like themselves, to not care for themselves. But caring for themselves, I think, isn't that instinct? Isn't that an instinct, right? It's instinctive. Cherishing oneself, I would like to think that's somehow instinct. We are not like taught to care for ourselves. We do that naturally, right? Even like non-human animals care for themselves, right? It's natural. But then when some belief system sort of tells otherwise, that's when this like something like a crisis, right, would happen, right? Like a breakdown, something like this, it could happen, right? So then I think, again, this is a very general, what I said is very general, but to really to really offer help, then again, it's very important to know where they're coming from, and then that takes, I think, that itself is a process, you know, what we call like the diagnosis, right? The diagnosis without really going through without having a good diagnosis, then there is no prognosis. Or what is the other word? Something like that? Treatment, okay, yes. Thank you.
Regarding that, I meet a lot of people on the road, and I always suggest to them, somebody's got to mind the store.
Excuse me?
Mind the store. People just can't come in and take what they want. Somebody's got to be the storekeeper. Mind the store.
Mind to store.
Mind the store.
Mind the store. Oh.
You can't have a store with nobody in it. Somebody's got to mind the store.
Oh.
I suggest that.
Oh. 안다래요, 고스마스.
쌤 중국어 쓰는 사람으로.
나.
쌤 중국어 쓰는 거.
중국어 했어. 네. 이게 어떻게 했어요?
Can you repeat one more time? You said mind store. What store? Take whatever they want. Somebody's got a mind store.
The storekeeper.
What's the
Take care of the items.
아주 쌤 순서죠. 한번 남의 설명을 야나 준 티를 스타는 와.
쌤 순거랬어. Oh, yes. Yes.
It's appropriate self-cherishing.
Yes. Right?
Right?
Makes it complicated.
Again, the mic, maybe. Mic.
Someone has to mind the store. If you have a store with nobody in it, people just come and take everything in what they want.
So this is the parable, and the meaning is?
A lot of people try to think they shouldn't have an eye, that it's a bad thing. And the eye is the source of everything you're talking about. The eye is the source of love, compassion, renunciation. Somebody makes those decisions, so somebody has to mind the store, like a storekeeper.
Oh. Oh.
That was good. You can't have no eye whatsoever.
There's no professional eye. It can't be no eye whatsoever.
Oh, yes.
It has to be a professional eye. And that eye can be checked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Could you please?
I think Losang is saying there can't be no eye whatsoever. There's still a conventional eye, and it's okay to cherish the conventional eye. It's grasping onto the inherent eye that really makes a mess.
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Losang, sometimes your words are like the root texts. You know, the root texts, they are very, they're very condensed, and then we need the commentators. And through the kindness of the root text and the commentaries, then I get some understanding.
Rinpoche, I try to explain it sometimes. From where I come from, a lot of people have caretakers for their homes, that the ego is like a caretaker that is appropriately caring for the home without thinking it's the owner.
Mm.
Sometimes the caretaker will have parties and trash the house and things like that. And other times they're going to actually be loving and kind and really make the home a place you want to return to.
Mm. Mm.
That's the language I speak at home.
Oh,
I don't know if it's right.
thank you. Thank you.
Rinpoche, this might be a simple question, but I'm so curious. I have to ask it. So in the four immeasurables, loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity, why is it immeasurable? Why can't you measure it?
here immeasurable in the sense that, like sentient beings, you cannot measure, right? It's like what we say, like infinite sentient beings, right? So I think it is like that the object here, sentient beings, right? So in all these 4 practices, what is the object of the practice? For example, what is the object of compassion? Sentient beings. That is the object of compassion, right? Compassion is wishing sentient beings to be free of suffering, free from suffering. So sentient beings are immeasurable. Sentient beings are immeasurable. That is, yes. So this is why I think this immeasurable term is used, because the object is immeasurable, yeah? And also not only, so the object, and also in our mind, then to generate compassion, joy, equanimity, and love for immeasurable sentient beings, right? Yeah, so like infinite sentient beings, yeah. Yes.
We also have some questions online. The first 2 are follow-ups from yesterday. Regarding the Vajrasattva question yesterday, she says, in the abbreviated 6-session Guru Yoga that is done in Yamantaka, why does one transform into Vajrasattva? What is the reason for doing this?
To transform into the deity. Here, Vajrasattva, as the deity of purification, to transform into the Vajrasattva, I think it really means to transform from being a being with faults, obscurations, etc., into a being without those faults, obscurations, etc. Right? So it is for that purpose that one transforms into Vajrasattva, into the purified state. Right? From the impure state, transforming into the purified state. So Vajrasattva is simply representing that, the purified state.
And she also has a follow-up about time. She says that deities do not use our time clock. It seems the time of doing practice is more a concern for us as opposed to the deity. Is that true?
So going back to this lumbering part of, the object of refuge, the causal and the resultant object of refuge, right? The causal object of refuge, for them, whether we make offerings to them or not, it makes no difference to them. In the context that if we make offerings, they somehow receive more, and if we don't, they somehow receive less. So there is no difference there. For our resultant, deity, the resultant deity, the resultant state of Buddhahood, then that doesn't exist yet. So long as we are practicing, the resultant Buddha has not arisen, right? So the timing that I spoke of yesterday, I think is specific for those last few moments of the enlightening process, the actual enlightening process. That is applicable only to that. For the rest, it makes no difference. For our sadhana practices, we can do them at any time. If possible, okay, in the morning, that is good. If not, that is also good. And you can, whenever you find the time to do your practice, that is a very good time. Whatever is the best time for you is the best time to do the practice, right? So, do not take what was said yesterday so literally. That is only applicable from the stage of, I think, illusory body and onwards. Anything outside of that, it doesn't make any significant differences.
How do I practice discriminative wisdom, which she defines as being able to distinguish right from wrong, as well as being non-judgmental? So how do I practice that?
I think that is quite simple, at least in theory. Discriminative is more on the action side. Judgmental is focusing more on the people, right? This is a bad person. That is a good person. That person is not good. This person is not good. That is judging. Discriminating is this person's action is causing harm. This person's action, what this person is doing, is productive, is beneficial. That is discriminating awareness.
Rinpoche has mentioned that a Lama must subdue his mind before subduing others' minds. In this context, what does it mean to subdue one's own mind and others? Does it refer to the same sort of subduing the mind of all kind of, Does it refer to the same sort of subduing the mind of all kind of beings' minds performed by masters of all times to protect the Dharma from obstacles?
I think subduing one's mind is by way of the three higher trainings, by engaging in the three higher trainings, when one has reached a level of, I think, a peaceful state, a state in which one doesn't become agitated, in a state in which one doesn't feel partial towards one or other like that, right? In a state of knowing in a state of knowing, of not ignorance, but of knowing, of awareness. This is, I think, a subdued state. Yes.
Rinpoche La, is Buddha nature already in all of us? How do our practices awaken our Buddha nature?
The Buddha nature is present in all non-enlightened beings. That is right. And our practices, they awaken the Buddha nature by transforming our negativities, by transforming the obscurations, by freeing us of these three mind poisons: hopes, our fears, our doubts, and our afflictive emotions, our confused way of seeing. Yes.
And this is the final question online. In the 18 root downfalls, one of the downfalls is being loving towards malevolent people. Today you spoke about being balanced and unbiased. How do we reconcile the two?
I think that how I understand that part is sort of like supporting their malevolent actions. No, this is how I understand it. Yeah.
One more just came in. Who is more important, your personal guru, whom you have asked to be your personal guru, and thereby who is very important to you, or the guru who gives you a tantric empowerment?
Who do you think is more important? Whoever you think is more important to you is the one who is more important to you. I think like that, yeah.
Rinpoche, what should we visualize when the guru dissolves into us in 6-session guru yoga?
춘중은 가르쳐요. 자원 바오 doesn't matter 무슨 말이죠. 하는 다 알아. Once the guru has dissolved, then visualize that you and the guru are inseparable. Like that, right? That's what you visualize. Za Hong Bam Ho, right? It's that part, right? Za Hong Bam Ho. Tamzi Pada Yusunevacho La. No. Za Hong Bam Hong. And then after that, Tamzi Pada Yusunevacho. I think it's mentioned something like that in the sadhana, right? Your question is it's coming at the Zahung Bahung part, right? Is it?
The abbreviated 6-session.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. If this is the inviting the wisdom being, I don't know if this is in the abbreviated one, but in the long, there is inviting the wisdom being, right?
How abbreviated is it? Is that the one page one or the
It's not the one verse. Is it one step? No, not that one. It's the 2 pages. Yeah.
Ah.
The long one too.
Oh, okay. Yes. Then I think it is okay to visualize being in that state of being inseparable from the Guru at the heart. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
In the long one, is it different?
I'm going from the long one.
How would you describe it differently then?
Oh, this is the what I've described with that Zong Rinpoche, and then 이거 자산자 도구 아예 the Zong Rinpoche part, right? Oh, you're talking about the Samansa. Ah. Yeah.
Try to dissolve the verbal issue. That's what I heard.
Like, what does it look like?
No. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Can you say it?
What do you visualize when you dissolve the guru into you? You become one. And then you become one. That's already finished.
오늘 랑이 주요속도 사마자 나의 계시 랑다 로지스 아니 도시 선배 나기 행게되어서 도지다 랑신 주제 상회 엔데이 근데 정말 다기 류다 대신 논주 뭐 지시 만주 신경근이 된 얘네 방법에 맞다 자 소도전 도지 대봐야 봐. 좀 개버 되겠나? 안나스. 인지디요 말어. 인지디. Yeah, I was wrong. The Zong Bang is before. No, Zong Bang is remnant. Another thing is to things. This also has the abbreviated one, right? Not the single one, but the other one. Okay. Now, so, Rachel, which part were you?
Requested comes to the crown of my head and dissolves till we both are one. And I heard the something that was
Oh, this one. Requested in this way, my guru comes to my crown, he dissolves into me, and we become inseparably of one taste. As Vajrasattva embarrassing Bhagavati, I hold Vajra and bell and spot in innate place. For the sake of my mothers, I give away without regret my resident body wealth in collections of virtue of the 3 times. it dissolves into me, and we become inseparably of one taste. Yeah, I think inseparable of one taste. Right? Yeah. This is the abbreviated version.
Commentary.
Oh, I see. But I thought you wrote the root text. Here in the commentary, bring to mind whatever ascertainment of emptiness you have, and briefly set your mind in equipoise on the emptiness of true existence. This is the definitive meaning of Guru Yoga. You collect the accumulation of wisdom. It is the supreme protection, and it is the way to guard against 11th root downfall. Once more, the Guru joyfully becomes of one taste with me, and then what we call the ultimate Guru Yoga, right? And then to abide in that meditation, abide in ultimate Guru. In the 11th root downfall, tantric root downfall is not recollecting emptiness. So then, after dissolving the Guru and then remaining inseparable from the Guru, and this Guru of one taste, right? Guru, one taste. Yes. 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 Inseparable, yerme, rojik, one taste. So this is the ultimate Guru Yoga. Oh.
A little simpler question. On the four immeasurables, you were saying the individual sentient beings are immeasurable, but aren't the actions also immeasurable? The action of immeasurable compassion, like loving kindness, immeasurable. Wouldn't that be true also?
I didn't hear clearly. Can you?
When we speak of the four immeasurables, those 4 actions are also immeasurable, not just the sentient beings that are being affected by them, but the actions themselves. Compassion, loving kindness, equanimity.
Yes, yes, they are immeasurable because of the object. It's not 3 or 4 sentient beings. One is generating compassion on, right? But immeasurable beings generating love towards immeasurable beings. Therefore, that compassion is immeasurable too. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rinpoche, could being overly attached to one's guru ever be an obstacle?
Of course. Of course. As with all attachments, being overly attached to one's guru, I think, can hinder in one's practice, right? Can hinder, definitely. So to have faith in the guru, but decrease, maybe not so much. The faith in the guru increase and then decreasing the attachment part. This is, I think, how it is to be done, increase faith, but decrease the attachment. Yeah. Definitely. And that is why not only conventional guru yoga, but also ultimate guru yoga. Ultimate guru. That is why we need both, right? Conventional guru and ultimate guru. With the practice of ultimate guru, it helps in increasing the faith, but getting away from this sort of really grasping onto the form, something like the Nirmanakaya, something like Nirmanakaya. So always going back to Dharmakaya, right? The Dharmakaya. And with this practice, then this helps in letting go of this grasping, the grasping. Yes, definitely. Thank you. Oh.
Rinpoche, in the West, there is no culture of guru disciple relationship. So I find it still a very difficult and confusing sometimes to really understand that relationship. And I guess one question also that I have is that, like, if you want to create or develop a bond with a guru, do you have to specifically voice the request to that guru? Or is it enough to follow his teachings and to apply, whatever that guru is teaching, including the guru disciple relationship?
Depending on the situation, sometimes we are in situations where it is where we have the opportunity to attend the teachings, but we may not necessarily have the opportunity to have like a personal contact, right? So in those cases, then it is not necessary to voice it, like to make that request of being the guru, you know. In fact, in our culture, you know, in the Tibetan culture, I'm not aware of any such customary practice where we approach someone and request them to be our gurus. I have never approached anyone and asked them to be my guru. I don't remember ever making that request. Though it is customary when there is the opportunity, for example, if you are going to the teaching for the first time, if there is the, again, if there is the opportunity to go beforehand and seek permission to attend the teachings. This custom we have, right? So it's a bit indirectly making the request, but not so much like, can you be my guru? No, we don't have that. We don't have that. We don't have that. But then also we have other aspects like to request them to turn the wheel of Dharma. We make such requests. So many indirect ways of asking to be the guru, there is many. To request the turning the wheel of Dharma, to request that may you always may you always guide Je Tsongkhapa, sort of like may you always, please always like Je Tsongkhapa na karis. Nos. Lama Jenzins. Lama Jenzins can do George. Los. On this thing, they can do George. Lama Jenzins, right? By the disciples. Yes. So we have certain ways of asking, like, please guide for lifetimes or something like that, you know. So still, I think it's getting to the same point. Yes, like this. And then I feel that actually all of these requests are very good, but if after many years of knowing the spiritual guide and you feel strong connection, strongly connected, then I think that is good, you know. As long as you consider a guru your guru, that is the main point, you know. That is the main point. Anyhow, from a very tantric disciple way of thinking, the guru is the embodiment of the Buddha, has omniscience, has boundless compassion. So whether, as long as I can see the Guru and relate to the Guru, anything else that needs to be on the part of the Guru is already there, right? As long as anything that whatever that needs to be done from my side, all the conditions are met, I think when all the conditions that one needs to uphold in this relationship is met from my side, that is the moment I think the Guru becomes the Guru. You know, I think it is like this. And also, as we talked about secrecy, discussing about the Guru shouldn't be something like discussing about current affairs, you know. I think it should be really kept at a personal level and only be sort of talk within what we call Dharma siblings, right? Dharma friends, Dharma sisters, Dharma brothers, like this. Then what we say with Samaya, you know, then that is like the appropriate environment that we talk. Otherwise, like Guru and deities, you know, the yidams, it's better not so out in the open, you know, to somehow it helps in it is more helpful, more closer to keep it here, you know, to keep it here. Yeah, I think somehow it adds it really adds. There's something about not verbalizing it, you know. There is, it really adds, I think, to the value, you know, in your relating to the Guru. It adds to that. It makes it special when you keep it at the heart level, you know. Many times we have, of course, when we meet, it's very nice. We are very expressive. Of course, that's wonderful to be expressive and full of life. It's very good. But when it comes to certain aspects of the Dharma, then not to put it on the same level as everything else, you know, not so put out like so clear and what is the word? Not obvious. What is it? Yeah, not so like out in the open. Right? I mean, there are a list of things that we probably wouldn't share, even with our close friends. When we meet, we don't talk about those things. So the gurus and the yidams can be added to that list. Right? I think it's somehow, there's a value. Then it really helps in maintaining the relationship to the yidam and the guru. When you put it out in the open, then you're objectifying it. Yeah? And then someone else might not necessarily share the same view. And then this may sort of raise some tensions. And then what is the good? What then the guru and yidam is not so helpful, right? So then there's a certain, so I think this kind of things. So this is like diversion from your questions. Sorry. This is something like a habit of mine.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you.
It's very clear and very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.